So, me and my kids, we were just watching this show on the debate about whether or not our world really is a simulation, a matrix. And that seems to be something that's like brought up a lot with people lately. But I personally, from my own experiences, my own research, my own learning, not going off of belief systems or anything but facts, I don't feel like there's really even a debate between whether it's a simulation, reality, or natural creation. That isn't where the debate even should be. Because either way, the laws of nature or the laws of the program apply, and they're the same laws, right? Um, and real quick, before I get into this, I just want to give an example of what I'm getting ready to say to you. Literally 20 minutes ago, I was going to vacuum my carpets, and one of my children said, "Can I plug it up for you?" And I said, "Sure, sure. Go plug it up." I handed them the cord. I unwrapped the rest. I waited a few minutes. I didn't look back to see if they had plugged it in yet or not. And I just hit the power button on the vacuum cleaner and started sweeping. And all of a sudden, I can hear my child like freaking out with excitement. And I turn around and look to see what's going on. And she's over there holding the cord going, because the vacuum cleaner is running, but it's not even plugged into the wall yet. And she's like, "We were just talking about this, and you did it." And what we were just talking about is how I was explaining to them how we are the circuits on the circuit board. And again, I'm going to get to that in just a minute. But I gave them an example with a VCR that we had many years before they were even born. Um, when I was first learning this stuff, when I was first really delving into the research and going down numerous rabbit holes to find the answers. I had 5 children at home at that time, and uh, none of which were in the room, in the living room at the time, and I took that advantage to go watch a movie. Popped the movie in the VCR, sat there and watched almost the entire movie before one of my older children walked in the room and said, "What are you watching?" And I said, "I'm watching this VHS movie." And she was like, "Well, did you hook all that back up?" And I said, "Hook all of what back up?" And she said, "Well, earlier her brother had unhooked the VCR from the TV completely and the wall and everything because something. I forget even what the reason was." And as she's telling me, she's literally walking over there to look to see if it's all hooked back up. And it's not. It wasn't hooked to a damn thing. It wasn't hooked into the wall outlet. It wasn't hooked up to the TV. But I had sat there and watched 45 minutes of a movie. And of course, I was like anybody else in that moment. I'm just thinking my damn VCR is fucking possessed. So what did I do? Took my movie out of it and threw it in the yard because that VCR was possessed. Because I was thinking just like anybody else. Limited. I was thinking limited. Then I learned to think limitless. It was within a year that my daughter the same daughter, had a very terrible car accident with my mother that resulted in my daughter dying 3 times. And I brought her back to life in front of witnesses, doctors, nurses, witnesses. I brought her back to life because I had removed the limits. So I started needing to understand all of this further. I knew I could do it in that moment, and you can't do something like that unless you have zero doubt. All of the limitations have to be removed. You have to fully know that you are limitless. in order to do these type of great things. But this is why I tell you that I am here to finish Jesus's message, that we can do the same great works as him and more. And more. And I'm learning all these last 40, 50 years of my life what and more really entails. And again, I applied limits to all of these things as I'm learning until I learned to remove the limits and understand that we are limitless. Now, my premise for saying that the real argument here, the real debate, is not whether or not we're in a simulation reality or a natural creation reality. Because either way, the laws are the same and they apply. Bear with me, because I already know what some of you are thinking. If there's laws, how are we limitless? I'm going to get to that. So, if someone was to tell you, if you go down this road, it's a dead end, there's no way to go any further, you'll have to turn around and come back. Or if they tell you to go down this hallway rather than that hallway because you'll get lost or there's nothing down there for you or whatever the reason is. When they tell you these things, do you believe them? Do you just naturally believe them? Or do you test those boundaries? When someone tells you, oh, don't eat that food, you won't like that, do you believe them or do you test it and decide for yourself? You see, we apply limits where we choose to. We choose where the limits are, and I can prove it. So if you think of us as players in a video game, or any game for that matter, because the board games were created first to sort of get your mind on board the game, to understand you're in a game that you can play and you can win. But all of these games, whether they're board games, video games, or even the Matrix, even life itself, makes you seem to think you can't really win, that you can't really achieve high levels. Only the 1% can. But I'm here to tell you that's different. They tell you we only use up to 10% of our brain. They tell you you can't trust eyewitness testimony because the eyes and the brain will deceive you. Now, while it is true that you can see shadowy figures and your imagination will run wild if you can't process what's going on, your brain is going through all of its data bank files to find something similar to this image or whatever you're experiencing or viewing, to give you something to compare it to. Because that's what computers do. And your brain is a biological computer. That's been scientifically proven over and over and over again. Yet they tell us we only use up to 10% of it. I beg to differ. Okay, let me just back up a little bit. I think a lot of us really do only use that much of our brain, but it's because you've applied those limits. You've believed what you were told about your limitations in life. And so then as you go through life and you're learning how to play the game of life, you're applying limitations. You're applying the roadblocks. You're applying this, that are checkpoints or whatever, stop points or fallback points or whatever it is. When we're a newborn, we are completely dependent on the people that brought us into this world for our survival. We don't know how to play the game yet. We can't walk, we can't talk, we can't feed ourselves. We can't even defecate without making a huge mess and someone has to clean it up. We have no control. As we go through life, as we grow, we learn the rules, or at least some of them, because they don't want you to know all of the rules. Who are they? They are the controllers that control the game now, because they figured out the rules to the game and they found a way to create a loophole where they were the controllers and you don't get all the rules. It's all about perception. They tell you, believe us instead. And a lot of us actually do that. We just believe what we're told, what we're taught in school. We just believe it. Once it's told to you so many times through repetition and multiple people, you begin to believe it. But as an infant, we're completely dependent on somebody else to keep us alive in the game that we call life. Then we start to learn to crawl. We learn how to pick up things, have finger foods introduced into our life. So we begin to learn to feed ourselves. We begin to learn the basic rudimentary functions of speech and communication so that we can relay what we need in life. Then we learn to walk, hold our balance, run, jump, feed ourselves with utensils, go to the bathroom on our own. We are learning basic rules of the game, the foundational rules, the fundamental rules that all of us are allowed to have. But the further you get into the game, the less of the rules you're given, and you have to figure them out for yourself. It's kind of like walking through a labyrinth or a maze. And I think that's the whole point of that message that's being relayed to you in every labyrinth or maze that's ever been created, whether on paper or in reality, was to show you, to trigger something in you, because these symbols, the sacred geometry, this is DNA memory imprints for those who have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, to figure out the game. Now, maybe nefarious people put this in place. Maybe this was part of the perfect plan by God. Again, not even relevant. Not even relevant for debate. Simulation versus natural reality, not relevant. Who restricted the rules? Not relevant. What is relevant is learning all of the rules. Now, we are energy. That's a scientific fact. We are walking, living, breathing, talking, thinking, biological computers. Everything in our world has been created through some type of back engineering, reverse engineering of things in nature, including us. Let's take cities, for example, even ancient cities, because this knowledge is tens of thousands of years old. Ancient cities were built very much like a grid or a circuit board that we use in modern technology everywhere. Your remote control has a circuit board. Your little key fob for your car has a circuit board in it. All things have circuit boards now to work through these electricities. That's done intentionally. There's a reason that our cities today, and even in cities hundreds of years ago, had planning and zoning approval that you had to go through and meet. You could only build a certain height, a certain shape, in certain locations, so that you don't mess up the grid. You don't mess up the current for the circuit board. But we are the fuel of the current. We are the energy that powers the circuit board. or the cities. We are the economy. We are the valuable asset, if you will. Circuit boards. If we look at words, if we really pay attention to words, we also have a court system. We have a place called circuit court. This is where all of the different people or energy cells file in to deal with their business. You have circuit court and you have superior court. Circuit court is basic court issues, family law, things like that, for the people that are the circuit. The superior law is where our overlords rule on bigger issues. And again, no judgment. No judgment on that. Just pointing things out. Once you realize who we are, you can change the parameters of the game. You can change the scene. You can change the rules. You can change everything within the game that we call life. And we have a board game called Life that looks very much like a circuit board also. And now we have simulation games that are so realistic that it's hard to tell them from reality. More confusion. Keep you in this game where you know that you can level up if you achieve this, this, and this, versus the real life game where you still have limitations applied and you think that it doesn't matter how much you achieve on this level, you're never going to get to this one way up here. This game isn't as fun to play as that one. And it's not if, but a fact that we are the scalar waves. We are the current or the currency of this world. Everything, literally everything, is formed from scalar waves. If you are scalar waves and you know how to use those waves, those energy wave forms, then you know how to create beyond your current limitations. Beyond them. Because you're already a creator. You create things every day. Everything you see in my background was created by man. It was man-made. We use that like it's a dirty word sometimes. Because again, you didn't get all the rules to the game. So you don't realize how fabulous that is. Look at all the wonderful things we can create. I personally have 7 children that I've created as well. I'm creating this video right now. Someone created the glasses that I wear, the necklaces I wear, the clothing. We are creators, but we're limited creators. You think that these human bodies can create new life without having an education or a diploma? And we're not amazing enough that we could do even more, even greater works? Think about that for a minute. Scalar waves, through scientific research, have proven time and time again that when they come in contact with interference, they can actually create a different form so that they can bypass the interference. They can be in two places or be two forms at once. That includes us as a soul and an avatar. Do you see yourself as the human body? Do you see yourself as a soul? Do you see them as two separate things? Because they are, but they aren't. Just like those tests that were recreated in the laboratory. You are, but you aren't. 1 and 2. So retrocausality is us looking at the past and the present and creating a different future without the mistakes or the bugs of the past programming, the past experiences, the past way to play the game. We all innately do this through the generations of humans, even within our own family. We look at the way our parents raised us and their parents raised them, and we take what we think is beneficial and we leave the rest. We are trying to correct mistakes or flaws in the program, in the game, and improve upon it. And so that's exactly what we do with every generation, whether we procreate or not. We're looking for those ways, always through our innovative minds as a creator. We're consistently looking for ways to improve things. I mean, we wouldn't have Q-tips if it wasn't for innovation. We wouldn't have radios and computers and whatever else in the world that we have if it wasn't for somebody somewhere seeing where something could be improved upon for everyone's benefit. You're not just a player in the game. You're not just a parcel of energy in the circuit board. You are a programmer. You are part of the coding program that happens in life. We all are. But we've been told that we're limitless or limited, and we're not. And I've learned this over and over and over with the very loud voice that speaks to me, that's a man's voice in my head that tells me, you can do this, but it has to be with zero doubt. He reminds me every time, zero doubt. Zero doubt. And it's not like you have to just be like, okay, I'm going to do this bungee jump and I'm going to be all right. And I have zero doubt about that. And you're just like mustering up the courage. It's not even like that. I mean, it can be. But it's that no-brainer kind of where you just believe. You're just simply, easily walking in that faith of it, that knowing, that full belief that there's no need for doubt. It's just like when your heart creates a new route because there's something blocked in there. You know, you've seen those pictures of people's hearts that show you all the different little veins and the aorta and all of that. And sometimes when there's a blockage in one area, not sometimes, but almost all the time, when there's a blockage in one area, your heart magnificently grows a new little vein to get around that blockage so that blood can still flow. That's a no-brainer, right? Your heart did that just simply because it knows it can. It saw an obstacle and it found a way to get around it. It created a way to get around it. You can do the same thing with any aspect of your life, whether it's your health and the things that your body doesn't do. Autonomously. Why can I not say that word? Automatically. I'll just use that word. Because for whatever reason, I can't get that one out of my mouth. But for the things that your body doesn't do on its own, from its own natural programming, laws that it knows that it can abide by, and no brain to tell it it has a limit, you can create what is needed within the body. You can create what's needed within the emotional um, balance of your sense of being. You can create whatever you literally need. I mean, literally, you can create it. You can manifest it. No, it may not happen like, you're not Genie. It's not happening like that. Um, not all the time. Sometimes it can, like with the vacuum cleaner, because, in my mind, it was already plugged up and ready to go. No limits. And I'm guilty of limiting myself as well. We do it all the time. We limit ourselves all the time for small things, right? I don't sweat the small stuff. I don't expand my energy for those things. If I did, my world would be even more weird than it already is, just from onlookers, because they are all limited. And so to view someone who isn't, you automatically give them a label, usually with a negative connotation attached to it, unfortunately, for us, for people like me, and the other people that are attaching the labels too, really, because if we all realized that not just one person or a handful of people can do this, and it's not the special or the gifted, it changes so much. It changes so much. It changes everything. Because you're the programmer. You have the ability to code, and you don't even know it. Just like your heart, creating that new path. Anything, any route that we deem an obstacle can be fixed, can be corrected, can have a new path created around it. But the real kicker here is that you have to really want it. That's the real kicker for me. You have to really want it. I can tell you this stuff till I'm blue in the face. And trust me, what I do right now is not the part of my mission in life that I want to be on. This isn't the fun part for me. Because I want to be on that future path of my mission where at least the majority of people understand who we really are so that we can change things effectively and get out of this bullshit, this rat race, this matrix, this label game where we put everybody in a compartment and divide us up. People are worried about new world order and all, and they're so scared of learning something new and really applying it to their life. And it's such a shame that this fear is so real and this laziness in people is so real that people like me cannot even give you this information for free. Like, I literally, in the last 7, 8 videos that I've done, have put my first lesson, the link to the video for my first lesson in how you can understand the things I know. I've put it in there for free. I have almost 500 viewers. Around 100 of you on average watch my stuff. 4 people have bothered to click that link. 4 out of 400 and 60 something. 4 people. Because you're either lazy, content with being who you are and where you're at in life, and just don't give a damn, or some kind of thought within your mind is limiting you in believing this. There's a very, very small percentage of my viewers who are actually listening to the important quality things that I'm trying to teach you in the simplest way possible, to where the average Joe can understand this. Layman's terms. Dumbed it down. Completely found a way to absolutely teach this to the most uneducated of people. Because I want all of you to be free. And you can be. So stop making excuses for all the many reasons why you can't be. Just because you don't live in perfect conditions, perfect environments, and around perfect people doesn't mean you cannot take control of your life. Because let me tell you something, it's never going to be perfect. The people in your life are never going to be perfect. Your environment is never going to be perfect. Nothing around you will ever be truly perfect. However, if you remove your limitations and you remove your boundaries, you can damn sure make it improved. Damn sure. There is no way but up. None. None at all. And yes, I know I sound a little loud and aggressive today. And I am mostly love and light. I am. See my damn shirt? It's got peace and love all over it. I am mostly peace and love. And I'm a little bit of go fuck yourself. Yeah, I am. And it's absolutely frustrating at times. Absolutely. That I have something I can share with the world that's beyond any of the knowledge that's out there that they're telling you. Yeah, some of the stuff, some of the material I'm telling you, it's just me regurgitating the same damn truths that other people have figured out. They know that they're limitless, but they're not teaching you how to know. That's the step above that I'm taking. I want you to know. I want all of us to know. Why would I want you to? Why would I be different from them and not want to just capitalize on it and make a lot of money and be famous? Because I'm just like you. I know what it's like to not have food to eat or wonder where your next meal is coming from for your children. I know what it's like to be homeless. I know what it's like to be abused physically, mentally, spiritually. I've been through so many halls of horror that it would take me more than this lifetime to write about them. I ain't here to tell nobody to feel sorry for me. I ain't here to tell nobody my stories so that you feel bad for me. Because every one of those lessons, every one of those experiences were a lesson for me. My willpower was so strong that I kept fighting. And I kept looking for the answers that all of us seek. And by the grace of God and my own sheer determination, I found those answers. I found them. I have them. I'm trying to even give them away for fucking free. So yeah, it's a little bit aggravating and a whole lot sad. And I'll admit, there's a part of me that really questions myself because my heart is so big and so full of love for everybody in this entire world, every walk of life, regardless of who you are, where you're from, what you've done. I have love for you. I have compassion for you. I have understanding and empathy for you. I don't judge people. I love them unconditionally. I may see your faults and help you to correct them, but I don't judge you. And I don't stop loving you, whether you're a stranger or someone I know. But I honestly wonder sometimes why I bother to have so much love and compassion for the people in this world when they're mean, they're lazy, they're greedy, they're stubborn, they argue for their limitations in belief systems and the like. They will flat argue with you because they so badly need to believe in whatever it is that they've believed in, whatever that dogma or dictatorship is that programmed them. They need so badly for it to be true that they will fight you. They will argue with you. They will put hate toward you when all you're doing is trying to give them keys to their own shackles. And I get it. It's for those who have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. I get it. I don't try to force this down anybody's throat anymore. I don't worry about how many subscribers I have on YouTube or how many followers I have on Facebook or Telegram or whatever. You know, I don't worry about any of that. If I get a new follower, a new subscriber, great. That's one more person that somehow I've managed to reach them and pique their interest. That's great. But I already know that on average, only 10% of the amount of people I have as a number are going to bother to listen to anything I have to say. And only about 1% of that 10% is it going to really affect. And that's why I say that I am here to change the world one soul at a time. I understand that. I am patient with that. But when people come at me with things and I have to defend my position, I don't like that. I shouldn't have to defend sharing the knowledge that I've learned when I explain myself so thoroughly in how I've come to this knowledge almost every time I speak. It's just how I feel about it. But you have to really want this in order to change it, was my point before my little derailed tangent. You have to want it. Because where there's a will, there is a way. That's a fact, Jack. Ain't nobody disputing that. Where there's a will, there's a way. You can move mountains when you want to. So why not want to do this? Why not want this for yourself, for your children, for your grandchildren, for your parents, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins? Why wouldn't you want this? Why would you choose the 9 to 5 day in and day out grind when there's so much more? And I'm not saying go quit your jobs. I'm not talking ridiculousness. Keep your job. Still go to work, your 9 to 5. And while you're at work, start being more consciously aware of your environment, yourself, the waves that are invisible to your eyes, but your body can pick up on. I'll give you a great example. I know an electrician who was putting the conduit pipes into place, and they use a Walmart bag tied around a string to send through the pipe first, the conduit pipe that they're going to run all the wires down. And so one guy's on one end, and he puts the Walmart bag on the wire, and there's a guy on the other end with a vacuum, and he's going to suck the bag down to him, right? So he's got his hand up next to the hole of the pipe. And he said he could actually feel the vibrational change in the pipe when the bag was first inserted. So much so that him and his co-workers had a little fun with it, started doing the math on how fast of a speed this bag with rope was traveling down this X amount of foot long pipe. They were like, we did some algebra, we did some calculus, we probably even did some trig, and this is the speed we came to, and it was like 36 miles per hour. And that's what they did while they were waiting for all this wire and stuff to be run after they did their part. And they had fun with it. See, open your mind. Because this is a person that was very closed-minded before. Very closed-minded. Very traditional and rigid in their belief system, the way they live their life, the way they view the world. Very rigid. Progress. There is hope for all of us. There is. And I will never lose my hope, even if I do gain frustration at times. Because this was actually very huge. And it's just a perfect example of how if you allow yourself to just feel something, sense it, use your intuition, use your antenna that's all around you, and start sensing the world around you, you're going to see immediately that it's a much more interesting place to be than you thought it was before. And then it's not that mundane 9 to 5, while the video game is a much more fun reality to be in. Because your everyday life can become that excitement. It can become that playground that you were on as a child, where you were full of excitement and wonder and curiosity. Life can be that again. Why in the world anyone ever taught us that just because we become an adult means we should stop experiencing and being wondrous and curious and imaginative is beyond me. It's absolutely beyond me. And when I was a younger adult, I had that Toys R Us motto, that theme to my life. I'm a Toys R Us kid. I don't want to grow up. Because I enjoyed life. And now, as a 50-year-old woman, I look back on all of that. I still enjoy life. I don't feel 50. I don't act 50. I don't speak 50. There's nothing about me that's 50. Nothing. Except for my age. Nothing about me is 50. Because I still walk, live, and breathe with that joyous wonder of a child. I hop and I skip and I jump and I do cartwheels and I play in mud puddles and I'd dance in the rain, and I'd dance around the fire and roast marshmallows. I stare at the clouds in wonder and awe. I'll contemplate the petals of the flowers and the pistons of the pollen in the center. I embrace life. You don't have to do it to the extreme that I do. But just step outside. Feel the energy in the air. Take notice of feeling the wind touch your skin without your eyes giving you a visual of tree leaves moving. Stand next to another person with your eyes shut and sense their energy that we call an aura field. Wake up. Simulation or not, this game we call life, it's much more real than you allow it to be. Take off your blinders. Take off your headphones. Remove your limitations. And then experience life with your eyes shut so that they can then be wide open. All right. It's probably enough for now. Food for thought. Peace out.